Welcome back, bastards, brigands, sirens, and scoundrels, and of course, scruffy-looking nerf herders. I am the Brigand Bob, and today we're going to talk about one of my custom builds. Now, I call this the triple shot, and I call it that because I love coffee, and I think different shades of brown go together nicely with black. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of FDE in the world, I think darker shades of brown mixed with FDE and black can look really good. So this is one of the first builds that I did, or this was the first build I did where I used a lot of nicer materials, and I tried to make it look a lot nicer as well. So we're going to go ahead and just drop the mag here real quick. You see that it is empty, and we'll go ahead and clear the weapon, and it is clear. So this is an AR15 chambered in 223 Wylde, so it will shoot 223 and 5.56, but it will tack drive 223, which is kind of neat. There are some things I like about this build, and there are things that I don't, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it today. So we'll just go ahead and go front to back. So starting out, we have a Surefire muzzle device. This is a Surefire 3-prong, and it will take the Surefire SOCOM suppressors or suppressor mini. So this is a host for Surefire suppressors, and the idea is to eventually get a Surefire SOCOM mini for it, so it will not add too much overall length. It will be lightweight. This is a 13.7 inch barrel, so it is pinned and welded in place, and they did a great job. The gunsmith I took it to did a fantastic job of pinning and welding it. Looks fantastic. So going back from the muzzle device, we have the barrel, which is a stainless steel bead blasted 13.7 inch barrel from Rosco Manufacturing. It is chambered in 223 Wylde. Now, I have about 3 Rosco Manufacturing barrels, and I absolutely love the barrels that they make. So for me, it was a no-brainer going with the 13.7 inch barrel from Rosco. And also at the time, the pandemic was pretty crazy, and you were hard pressed to find anybody really selling 13.7 inch barrels as it was anyway. Some people were chopping down barrels to get them to 13.7 or 13.9. But at the time, Rosco was just selling 13.7 inch barrels. So it, again, was a no-brainer for me. I wanted to do a 13.7 inch build, and so I went with Rosco Manufacturing. The barrel is quite nice. It looks great. The bead blast finish looks fantastic. And like I said, it is stainless steel. So I get the benefits of that as well as the drawbacks. So shorter barrel life, but increased accuracy is the rumor. Going back from there, we have a Surefire M600 Vampire, so it will do IR and white light, and I went ahead and put a 20mm lens cap on it so that I can prevent accidental light discharge. So there's that. I do have the tail cap switch taped off to the side. It would be difficult to reach the switch if I was running from the other side, so that's not awesome, but I don't like putting it on top because it's too easy to just grab it and discharge it, although that is what the cap is for, so maybe I'll move it. Who knows? The rail on this guy is a Midwest Industries Combat m-lok rail. It is extremely slim, it is extremely lightweight, and it's pretty rugged. I like it. It is a good rail, so yeah, I think it's a pretty decent rail. Going back from there, we do have this Strike Industries angled foregrip shorty boy, which I like because I'll typically cut them down. I have reversed the position of it, so I have that kind of wedge going on there, that fulcrum, when I'm pulling the rifle into my body, my shoulder pocket. As you can see, I've gone with spray painted this particular upper, so it has some pretty cool patterns and colors going on with it. Spray painted it different shades of brown. It was a black rail when I originally got it, so there has been wear on it, and where the darker brown has worn off, there's the lighter FDE brown underneath, so even the wear on it looks pretty good, which I'm happy about. I have a mixture of Bravo Company m-lok rail covers and Slate Industries m-lok rail covers. I do like the Slate Industries m-lok rail covers in that they bolt down in there and they're not really going to wobble loose or knock loose on you, which the Bravo Company rail covers can do, but yeah. Anyway, going back from there, we have a Bravo Company. It was a Bravo Company stripped upper receiver when I got it. The reason I like Bravo Company stripped upper receivers, and you hear me keep talking about Bravo Company upper receivers, is because they are a thermofit or friction fit, meaning you have to heat up where the barrel meets up with the receiver with a heat gun or a torch in order to get the barrel in. You may think, why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you just want to slide the barrel in? Well, for a couple of reasons. Primarily, it gets you a more secure, firm fit, but it also means that you've got a little bit more stability where the barrel mates up with the receiver. Yes, you've got the barrel nut in place, but you also get that added stability of that friction fit. Once the barrel is in and it's cooled off, it's not really going anywhere. It takes a lot to get it out. So that also means slightly improved barrel harmonics, and that just means greater accuracy. So that's one of the reasons why I prefer Bravo Company upper receivers when I can get my hands on them, which for the past year has been never. They're always sold out all the time, always, and you just can't get your hands on Bravo Company upper receivers. And that's probably because they're in such high demand, so that should tell you something. On this upper receiver, I put Strike Industries Strike Industries billeted dust cover on it. And one of the reasons I like the Strike Industries billeted dust cover is because you can just squeeze the pin back, drop it into place, and let it go, and it drops right into place. You don't have to do the typical installation that you would do with a dust cover, and dust covers are a little bit of a pain in the ass to install. Not a huge deal, but it certainly does help, and I like it. It looks great, but it also is just a dream to install. It's way easier to install, and I like it. I also did the Strike Industries forward assist for no other reason other than aesthetics, because it is also in the same FDE finish that this dust cover is in, and so it just kind of plays into the look of the build. Going up from there, I have a Primary Arms ACSS Cyclops 1X prism optic, and this is the first gen. This is not the second gen, so the reticle is pretty small, so there's that. I've got to be honest, I am not the biggest fan of the ACSS Cyclops Gen 1, and I don't know if I would be a much bigger fan of the ACSS Cyclops Gen 2. Based on my experience with the Gen 1, I'm sure they made improvements in the Gen 2. I know they did. I know the reticle is slightly larger, which is helpful. But it has not been an awesome optic for me. I have not loved it. The MOA adjustments are half MOA, which I don't understand. It's just not great and not an awesome optic in my opinion. And I think I'm going to eventually just swap it out for a red dot or maybe an LPVO. But if I got my hands on a Cyclops Gen 2, I would run it to see what the improvements are over the Gen 1, but I will not go out and spend my money on a Gen 2 if that tells you anything. Just not thrilled with it, and don't see any reason why you would run it, because you're going to want to probably magnify it at some point anyway. So I've got a flip up magnifier here, so why not just run an LPVO? So you have your etched glass and you've got a better optic. Just not the biggest fan of the Cyclops. I hate to say that because I love primary arms and I love the things that they make, but I have run this for a minute now. I've put multiple rounds through it. I had to send one of them back to primary arms because it would just not hold zero. So I don't love it. And they sent me the Gen 1, even though the Gen 2 had come out and the Gen 1 was no longer on sale, which I also wasn't thrilled about. I was like, just send me a Gen 2, but whatever. The flip-up magnifier is a Sightmark flip-up magnifier. Some of you may cringe at that, and some of you may just like go ahead and immediately smash dislike and tell me what a cheap piece of shit I am in the comments. That being said, Sightmark optics are absolute trash, but their flip-up magnifiers are surprisingly not trash. Their flip-up magnifiers are surprisingly good. So this is a Sightmark flip-up magnifier, and it doesn't suck. It does a decent job. It's got about the same eye relief as every other flip-up magnifier that I've dealt with. You've got the dioptic, so you can adjust it to your eye, and it's actually done a really good job, especially with the Cyclops, which can be super finicky with flip-up magnifiers. So I don't hate it. I like it better than my primary arms brand flip-up magnifier, which was eh. So yeah, Sightmark, I would never recommend anybody get an optic from them ever. However, I would definitely recommend your flip-up magnifiers because it's just a magnifier and it does a good job at doing that. It's not super heavy. It doesn't wobble around. It clicks positively into place, and it is also QD, which is super groovy. So with all of that being said, not a terrible way to go for your flip-up magnifiers. Moving down to the lower receivers, this is an Aero Precision lower receiver. Their lower and upper receivers are forged, but their M4 E1s tend to have that billeted look, even though they are forged. I really like it. You've got that flared mag well in there, so it's pretty easy to seat your magazine, and the magazine falls loose pretty easily. No problems at all. I've never had any problems with magazines, although I've never run hex mags in this thing either, because hex mags tend to be a little tight and not in that good Las Vegas way. So I like the flared mag weld that you get with the M4E1. They look pretty smooth, but most importantly, on the bolt catch, it is a threaded pin instead of a roll pin. And if you have ever built a lower receiver, when you are putting the bolt catch in, trying to get that roll pin in there is a giant pain in the ass due to where it's located. So having it threaded makes it a lot easier to install and just really takes all of that headache out of the equation, which I appreciate. If for no other reason, that's pretty damn nice. Oh, on the upper receiver, I forget, there is the Toolcraft Black Nitride bolt carrier group. It came properly staked, as Toolcraft bolt carriers tend to do. Great BCG, haven't had any problems with it, so there's that. Anyway, back to the lower. I use Strike Industry takedown pins, again, just for the aesthetic look. But one of the things about their enhanced takedown pins is they stick out a little bit further, so once you press the pin out, it is a little bit easier to grab a hold of it and pull it out. I have the fit on this pretty tight though, so I usually have to use a bullet, or I will use something like a pen in order to pop it out. But they are good takedown pins. They're very easy to actuate, and on this particular build, they look great. The mag release as well is a Strike Industries, just again, keeping with the color scheme so it matches everything else on here. It is a Strike Industries mag release. Works great. Another thing that I like about the M4E1 is that they do tend to mill the opposite side pretty well, to where you don't get that overhang catch on your mag release, which is pretty nice. So I appreciate that. All right, we also have a geissele SSAE trigger in here, and you know how I feel about geisele's if you've watched any of my previous videos. They're just fantastic triggers. The brake on this trigger has to be about 2.5, 3 pounds, like my other SSAE trigger. It's just a fantastic trigger. Got a Radian Talon safety selector. I like them. They actuate nicely. They have a good positive click when I run them. So good safety selectors. Don't have any problem with Radian Talon safety selectors. In fact, I like them quite a bit. It's just about a toss-up between those and mil-spec safety selectors, but for the sake of this build, I went with the Radian Talon. B5 Systems pistol grip right here, which you can see is two-toned and stippled, again, just for that positive grip. I also forgot to mention that I do have a rail riser on here for this optic setup, which gets me to an exact 193 height, and I have liked that. Don't care for the optic setup. Again, I should probably just run an LPVO, or well, more than likely what I will do is swap out the primary arms for a hollow sun, most likely. So, all right, so that's the lower. Also, Strike Industries enhanced bolt catch. The paddle is just a little bit bigger, so it's easier to just slap that bad boy on your reloads. Not that it's that difficult to do in the first place. Coming back to the rear of the rifle, we do have a Strike Industries enhanced buffer tube, and it is 7 positions, and I like that because it gives you 1 additional position instead of 6. You've got 7 positions, so you can adjust it to your biometric, or you can adjust it to you. Instead of 6 and being limited to that, you get 1 extra position. So
I don't want 1 position, I want all positions.
Just a little bit more adjustment, a little bit more customization. They are milled very nicely. They look very sharp. They are good buffer tubes. And they also have the extended lip for the buffer detent, which I also appreciate quite a bit. So I appreciate it. Wording is hard. Also at the back, we have this Strike Industries end plate with a castle nut. It is a QD end plate. Honestly, I was just doing it because I had so much Strike stuff on here. I figured I'd go ahead and throw that on there as well. The nut's not going to work itself loose, but I'm not thrilled with the back plate. It is kind of chonky and does add ounces, which doesn't thrill me to death. And all the way back here we have the Magpul ACSS stock, which I think looks fantastic. I dyed this thing kind of a dark burnt brown, sanded it down. It has a nice worn leather look. Pretty cool, I think. So yeah, there's that. These stocks are pretty nice. I like them quite a bit. It's got a compartment in it, which is cool, I guess. But more than anything, just fits very nicely in the shoulder pocket. So yeah, I think that's pretty groovy, personally. Good stock. Would run it on other rifles, although, truth being told, Bravo Company buttstocks, still my favorite. So just can't beat Bravo Company for some things, and for pistol grip and buttstocks, loves me some Bravo Company. So there is that. And as usual, it is the same 2-point sling that I run on everything. This one's just black with brown triglides. So yeah, that is it. That is what I like to endearingly refer to as the triple shot. This was one of my first nicer builds that I did, or the first nice build that I did, where it wasn't just a bunch of parts from the lowest bidder, but I was actually trying to make something a step above what I had built before, and this was the result. It's not a Gucci build by any stretch of the imagination. It's not like on par with a Geissele or Daniel Defense. It is just nicer than the previous builds I've done, so I wanted to show this build off for this video for you guys. Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you have suggestions on future videos that you would like to see me do, go ahead and leave those as well. I would appreciate if you smash like and subscribe, or if you didn't like the video, go ahead and dislike it and tell me why I'm a putz. Either way, I appreciate you stopping by. Remember to be kind, be compassionate, be empathetic, but still remember to be dangerous. And have a great day.